You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's True Blood After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's True Blood After Show.
That sound can only mean one thing, and that is Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another after show on AFTERBUZZ TV. This is True Blood Season 6, Episode 10, Radioactive. The season finale. Are there more questions than answers? And wait for it. Is Eric dead?
I can't deal with that question right now.
Scott was a puddle of mess after that scene. He was in absolute bliss and glory from the beginning of that scene, and then, his heart was pulled out from his soul. Let us know what you think. All right, but before we go any further, I am your host, JC, and of course, I am joined. We do not have Sarah tonight, but we've got a True Blood super fan host. She usually hosts, what is it, Newsroom?
Newsroom and Walking Dead. So
all
those
right.
are my two big shows.
AFTERBUZZ TV Nation, put your hands together for Miss Kristin Carole.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. I brought some Terry's favorite beer as a thank you.
Yeah, tell everyone, people that aren't watching us live, what did you bring us as like True Blood offerings?
I brought in the last episode I talked about Terry's beer and how we only wanted this one specific one, so I actually went to Bevmo and I wanted to try it. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, see, and we know that AFTERBUZZ rules and regulations is if it's a quote, we can say it. So you brought us Raging Bitch beer,
yes.
IPA. That's right. Give it up for Raging Bitch. Thank you so much, guys. So, but no show would be complete without our hottie with the naughty body. That's right. Mr. Scott Moore. What's up, Scott?
I'm here. Yeah, I was just going to say we're kind of missing Sarah tonight, but, you know, I think she's still trying to recover from this whole Eric potential thing here.
She probably knew about it and didn't want to talk about it. I wouldn't either. I'd just be home crying.
I think she's actually mad because Warlow was proven to be a baddie.
Which we talked about in episodes past, yes.
And of course, the man running the ones and twos, our very own Warlow. You ended up being such a jerk on the show.
I did.
Stephen Lemieux. Give it up for Stephen. What's up, Stephen?
Everything's spoiled for me. I'm so sad. It's not going to be the same watching this show now.
So sorry. Hey, guys, if you're watching us live on the chat roll, hello. But if you're not watching us live, make sure to go to iTunes, Stitcher, OneCast, YouTube. Let us know what you think. Give us your comments. And, of course, go to AfterBuzzTV.com. Let us know what you think. But we do have to handle some quick business. I'm sure a lot of people on the chat roll are watching because tonight we're giving away our grand prize winner for our True Blood Trivia poster, which we have the signature from some of our guests this season. And we're going to draw one name later on the show.
Nice tease.
Yes. And
Wait for it.
Wait for it. And they're taking the whole enchilada. But first, we got to announce last week's winner. And our question last week was, Tara actually didn't start at Merlotte's. She started at another well-known establishment. And we asked you guys what that establishment was. And I believe it was Scott.
What could the answer be?
Last week's winner. It was actually Super Save a Bunch.
That's right.
And the correct answer was by Rupert Sanchez.
Yes.
Give it up for Rupert. So you are our final qualifier for our True Blood
Congrats,
Trivia
Rupert.
poster. All right, so we're here to do a show, aren't we?
Yeah.
So today, let's go with today. What did I learn? Kristin, take it away.
I learned that if I'm in the middle of the Swedish mountains, I should bring a blanket or an umbrella if I may burn up.
Yeah.
Some suntan lotion or something.
And Scott, what do we think about tonight's episode?
Well, I was just going to say, I learned that Raging Bitch IPA is really, really good stuff.
They'll send us a check. So overall, because you seem like you were a little put off by tonight's episode.
Yeah, too many things to get into, so might as well, because...
All right. So let's
way too many things.
And let's spoil it all for Steven as we begin with. Sorry, Steven. Let us begin with Alcide, Sookie, and the aftermath after, I believe, is the destruction of Vamp Camp. First off, I want to say something. Was Alcide wearing a wig in that first scene?
That's so funny because it's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, they made him look all weathered and, you know, with the wig and then the gray.
Definitely his hair wasn't combed. Turning into a werewolf too much, I think.
Well, because he had a haircut, obviously.
And thank goodness for that, because he looked fine later on.
Yes, tell us. So we like the buzzed, shorn Alcide. Okay.
Compared to the hair that he had earlier in this episode and then last episode, I don't mind it slightly longer because he's still just a very, very attractive man.
Calm down, Kristin.
I get myself.
No, so, and of course, all the vamps are coming out. They're high as a kite off of Bill's blood. It almost reminded me of season 2 with Marianne.
Yeah.
They were all just extremely sexual and just their clothes were ripping off, and they were just. Everyone was happy, and you know, in an Alan Ball, now Brian Buckner world, things cannot be that good for that long.
No.
So anything. Now you were talking about Kristin. Was it about the volleyball match and Jason and Violet? And what did you see? Anything that we can parlay into season 7? Because tonight was all about season 7.
Violet still kind of creeps me out a little bit. The whole time, again, I was talking about. Ex-Girlfriend's Newsroom, if anybody watches it, you know, in terms of crazy ex-girlfriends, because I don't think that's going to last, and then Jason's going to have this raging B-word on his hands. I don't trust her. Just, I'm going to make you want it. I don't know. Something off-putting about her.
Sounds like too many of my ex-girlfriends. Now, Scott, what did you pick up? And, okay, what happened with, vamps at night, they're a very well-dressed group.
Yes, you caught it right there. But then it was all of a sudden with the sunlight, they're like, let's wear like crazy summer, I don't know, some of these clothes that were just so over the top. And why were they all playing volleyball? I didn't know that was a vampire
The other thing I
sport
could
of
think of
choice.
is maybe how they got clothes so quickly is that they're at Bill's house and maybe it's Jessica's. Because Jessica always, earlier on, had like younger girl clothes going on. So I thought maybe looking at Pam's outfit or how Tara was wearing
Everyone
a
was wearing
sundress.
younger clothes, yeah.
It looked like something that Jessica maybe used to have. And if that's the quickest things they could
And
get
even
their
Jason,
hands on.
too. Even Jason was in like kind of a summery button-down
It was kind
thing.
of his fellowship from the Sundays.
Yeah, it was it was very odd because it was like even different wardrobe than he normally wears, too, on that scene. So it was it definitely cracked me up.
Okay, so we're warming up. So we talked about the periphery. Now let's dive in there and talk about, you talked about Jason and Violet. Now, do you think Jason is kind of like Sookie from season 1 now? He's after this vampire. He's just completely enthralled. And you're the master of the line of the night, Scott. So Violet, Sookie, Violet, she's European after she makes out with Anna Paquin. I mean, Jason had great lines.
That's too funny.
Everyone, kind of like season 1 and 2, everyone's conjugating to the same spot.
Yep.
You start seeing these massive groups of people.
Which I think it definitely needed to do. I know you guys have talked about it, and I think a lot of fans too thought it lost its way over the last 2 seasons, and it's coming back. And I think that's good. We're just humans, vampires. That's how it originated.
Yep.
And I think sometimes with the witches, and some people didn't like the authorities storyline.
Right.
That
Me included.
Yeah, and then there's so much going on, and all of a sudden now you have less things that you have to go, oh, wait, Jason's doing the thing, but Sookie's doing this, and then Eric's doing that, and there's just so many different storylines that, thank God, we love the character. I mean, for me, I love the characters so much that that's what keeps me going. Although they may have taken away my favorite one. But that's another time.
Yeah, but agreed, and bring them back to the town, and the town being a character, because that's one of the main characters, and it's
Bon
been
Tom.
yeah, and it's been out of the picture really for the past couple seasons. So bringing these characters back to me was really important. So I really did appreciate that.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, did you pick up like these little nuggets? Like Jason, actually he foreshadowed what was going to happen, which we'll get to later on, how he was talking about Violet having it's good to have her to get your back. So I'm like, that'll come into play later on.
Well, because a lot of he doesn't have such a great history with women. I mean, all of them end up kind of crazy. And they end up kind of being two-faced with him that way. And even though Violet, I think, is crazy, obviously she's not two-faced with her feelings for Jason and leaving him, because you had Crystal with the whole, you know, her whole pack, and that ended up kind of turning on him while he was still involved with her. Jessica's a mess with him, and even before that, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but the one where they ended up killing Stephen Root as a vampire.
Lizzie Kaplan's character, yes.
And all of these people have all changed on Jason and haven't been there for him. And Violet's being there for him, I think it's in a wrong way, but I think Jason finally wants that. And he'll realize that he definitely still wants somebody to be there for him, but not as crazy as her.
And I think he liked having someone else sort of have that control, too.
Well, and
at the beginning there, until it got a little too crazy, and as we'll talk about later with the 178 days. And
right now, he's high on vampire blood, too. He had Eric's, and then he wanted Violet, so of course he's going to want her.
Absolutely.
He's probably having sexy dreams with Eric and Violet, like all in one.
Which we never got to see.
Scott, I'm sorry. We'll get into that, but first we gotta tie up a small little storyline. This cat named Warlow. And who knew that wedding planning hasn't changed in 5,500 years? He was planning this whole thing, but
and decorating himself and everything, you know, one-man team there.
He's very handy with the maypole.
Okay, so what do we think? I mean, we didn't use him for like half the season. It seemed he was tied up for like 4 or 5 episodes, and now all of a sudden we see his true motives. He becomes the baddie.
Which we knew all along.
There was always something up with him. Never trusted it.
Thoughts on his arc? I mean, were you guys okay with it? Because there were so many levels to him. I thought it was going to be Grandpa Niall was secretly Warlow, but did he sell it? I mean,
I was a little thrown. I mean, I'm glad we saw his true colors, because we did see that flashback, I think it was 2 episodes ago, where Sookie was in the bathroom and she was flashing back to Warlow with "I'm coming to get you" with his hat on and everything. I don't think we've seen Warlow with a hat on at any point, but it was definitely somebody that we haven't seen yet with him. So you know that's in there, that anger, that aggression. And when he slapped Sookie, I literally yelled out in the middle. I was watching it by myself on HBO Go in the front there, and I'm like, "What?" Anybody who walked by would probably thought I was nuts.
yes, I just was missing. I don't know if I wish we would have seen that Warlow that we got last season, where it was the image and that dark, sinister. I wanted to see that.
I did too. I actually was really disappointed with the way it was just kind of wrapped up and swept under the rug. I just felt like it was just kind of an easy throwaway after this whole build up with Warlow for really the past couple seasons, and Warlow's sort of been in the background, and then it just felt too easy to me. It was like all of a sudden they were able to jump into the other plane, like it was very easy for them, and take him out. He goes back to the house, and then Grandpa comes back. I mean, it just and Jason gets out. And Jason gets out. Grandpa comes back at the same time, and then he's done. It just felt to me very disappointing, just as a sweep under the rug. Like, let's make it easy so we can move on to the next chapter.
Would it be similar to, let's say, when they disposed of Russell? You know, you have these ultra powerful vamps, and they end up killing them in the most like simplistic way possible. You know, like Eric killed Russell last season, just like that. You know, the sneak attack.
And just to move on real quick, it is kind of disappointing to me when they do that, I think.
See, okay, I will pull some good out of it, because at least going back to our roots, it was great to see Andy and Jason become the Rambos again, like they were in the previous in season 2.
What was it? I loved the, you know, "We're gonna go in heavy," and Jason goes, "There ain't no other way."
And Jason's so over the top, you know, dramatic.
Can't wait for the capers those two are going to get into finally. That is my most missed part of the show. The two of them just goofing off in like a truck, devising a master plan how they're going to save planet Earth. So
I missed their truck talks.
I do too.
They had some of the best one-lines in there, and it was good.
Yeah, so I'm glad for that, but I'm disappointed with the way they wrapped up the whole Warlow storyline. I thought it was just kind of a lazy, easy throwaway just to be able to move on to the second half of the episode. So
I did like when he died, though. If you noticed, he started turning into the ugly fairy, fae, and so I thought that was an interesting twist that they added to it. But I do kind of get confused with him jumping out at Sookie, and he doesn't look at all like how that face did in there. And I don't know if that had something to do with him being on that other plane.
Yeah.
And maybe that kind of altered his look from what it is here, as the Fae does on their own plane. So I'm not sure. Maybe that's how they played with it. But he looked way more evil earlier on.
Going back to Warlow, throwing
Thank you.
into the chat roll, we had Rodney De La Cruz said they have this Warlow character for 3 seasons, and the new showrunner really didn't do it justice. And then somebody else said Warlow was this huge this, and then in 2 minutes Warlow turns evil.
Exactly.
And Neil holds a powerful vamp Fae, and Justin kills them. People seem very disappointed with it.
It was a lot of build up, and then yeah. I mean, well, I don't want to ruin it for Steven because the people that are on chat roll with us know exactly how he died, and yeah, it was kind of like,
It just seemed too easy, like just too convenient.
Yes.
Everybody was there. Jason got out again. It just all felt way too easy and lazy-ish.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the interactions, some of the plans, some of, I believe it is being true to their characters. Bill has always been on a quest for power. Every season he has a plan for power. If it's, you know, taking over for the Authority, being Lilith, and now it seems like he was so disappointed. It seemed like that he lost his powers from Lilith.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so at least they were true for that. But now tell me about this. They jumped 6 months ahead, and now he's this author. And come on, so many things happen. He's
That
an
was
author.
funny.
Yeah.
And God
That was
bled.
funny.
But did you notice Sookie when she was watching him? She still had that lovingly look on her face.
Yeah.
It's her first love. And I think, honestly, she's kind of his first real love. I mean, I know he was married beforehand and all of that, but I don't think he's a guy that was always kind of lost. And I think when he finally found Sookie, he found a piece of himself, even though he was still not okay with being a vampire and all that kind of stuff. But he found somebody for a reason for him to live.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think in a lot of ways it was sort of like his first love, especially in this whole vampire realm. You know, that was the first thing he was able to kind of connect with Sookie.
And before chat roll hangs us all, because I think we want to block it out of our mind. When we defeated Warlow, I have to jump back. We all the vamps ended up losing, I guess, Warlow's blood.
And you could see that too, like you saw when he finally died there in the puddle, and you watched the Fae kind of dissipate there, and that was great too. And then you watched everyone else from there.
So let's
It's
talk
like when you kill the mothership in a movie.
Scott.
And then
All the little ships go away.
and you watched everybody kind of lose their powers as you're going on, you know, in little vignettes.
Okay, Scott, this is your moment to really talk about what happened to our Nordic god and what the consequences of what just happened on that scene when Eric was well, take it away.
I can't.
Give me a minute. I didn't think about
You
that
guys need a
for
minute?
second.
Okay.
No.
Eric was nude sunbathing up. Was he up the Swiss Alps? I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was A-R-E. I don't know how you pronounce it. R?
I worked
Sweden.
at IKEA for like 2 days, so I really don't know the names. But yes, naked sunbathing, and he gave everyone the eye candy. Scott had a moment.
I did. I have to admit, I did.
I may have rewound it. I'm not gonna lie.
I asked him to rewind it. I did.
See,
I said I needed.
after my own heart, right
Yes.
here.
Needed to have a closer look.
Oh, brother.
See, yeah, Alexander Skarsgård is my get out of jail free card with my boyfriend.
Okay.
It's a well-known.
So
fact.
let's talk about it. Well, you got to see him in all his glory. Is he dead?
No.
I'm like, my track record's been bad so far this season, so maybe I shouldn't comment.
I got a tweet from a fan, and they said, "Dead or not, here's what I think. He's on fire. He melts the snow, falls into a snow cave to get out of the light. He lives." And he says, "Okay, give me props if you guys use this." So, Skip Fredericks, we're using your quote.
Yes.
There you go.
There we go.
Props to you, buddy.
Props.
I also think Pam's gonna have something to do with it because she was flying after him, and we don't see her 6
True.
months later either. So,
Good point.
and unless Alexander Skarsgård, because of his, you know, maybe he's got a lot of other movies and stuff coming out.
Right.
There's no way you kill him off because you're gonna lose like half of your audience.
That's the point. I mean,
It's not Game of Thrones. You're not, because you're not expecting the main characters to die. That's part of the fun with Game of Thrones, is you're expecting, you know, big people to die. Like, who's going to die next for this? Do you kill off Eric? Psh, people riot.
Here's the thing, though. But if Eric were on Game of Thrones, I think people would freak out too if he died on that, because literally the love for that guy. You see the threads online. For other characters on the show, they have maybe 6 threads. He has 292 threads on the Nordic god. So I don't.
That makes sense.
You know what? Maybe the fans right. I don't know. I don't see him dying. Even though we talked about it on the show about 3 weeks ago.
We did, and I don't know. I still don't think that'll happen. Although I kept thinking Jason was going to be the one to go, because I found like they were setting that up with him not being at the funeral, and I felt like as a main character he could have been the most disposable of that group, in the sense that he could have moved on because he had all those kind of issues there, but it would have been easy to kind of take him out. So I was wrong on that.
I thought maybe if they were going to kill somebody, not that they would have done it, because I knew she was going to be in season 7, but Jessica, and maybe as a redemption to save somebody, maybe would have been somebody they could have killed off, and then it maybe would have woken Bill up and made him redeemable again. Because I think they have to make him redeemable, because they took him. And I was wondering how they were going to do that, because I did not like him the last 2 seasons.
No, I didn't either, and
I love Stephen Moyer.
I do too, and that's why I thought it was great to, you know, the way they did it, to get rid of Willow's power and bring him back to being who he is again, with the whole theme of going back to Bon Temps. It's sort of that same thing, bringing him back to his roots as well.
You see it. I mean, I think the genesis, we saw it tonight. It's his road back to Sookie. So with that said, that my fear is what's going to happen to Alcide then? What's going to happen between them?
I just feel like Sookie has to go through every man on the show. And, you know?
Well, Alan Ball made a comment once when I went to the Paley Fest, where he said, Steven and Anna are soulmates. How can I not think about that when I'm writing for Sookie and Bill? Yeah. So I thought that was kind of an interesting comment. However, he's not the showrunner anymore. So maybe Brian Buckner doesn't feel the same way about it.
See, so there's a lot of great questions.
It's hard, I know, because then you think too, do you think that's what the fans would want too? You know, that's
I don't know.
The way it would end up. I don't know. It's hard, because it is, like you're saying, it's a lot of questions. Would it be them? Would it be, you know, if Eric's okay and still alive, which I'm going to go on the record and say yes, even though I've had a bad record this year. But I'm just saying, like, would it be with him? Would it be, you know, with Sam? Will she end up with, you know, there's so many questions with that and what they want to do.
If you have a bad record, you should say he's not alive, and then he will be alive.
There you go.
Just to kind of even it out.
He's dead.
Okay, there we go. We're left at that. So I guess now, fully jumping in that, to the time jump, let's go to church, and we find, I almost did not catch this line. Mayor Merlotte? Did you catch that?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
Yes, we were both like, what?
Sam is the mayor? He is the mayor of Bon Temps.
You know what? Good for him.
Yeah.
I could see him. I would vote for him. Now he's a family man, so he's got that on his side. You know, he's got Nicole. I don't know if we saw the babe. We didn't see the baby.
No, she's still
pregnant.
pregnant. She's still pregnant.
Okay.
No,
yeah, it's only 6 months, so it wasn't that far off. But yeah, you know, people seem to like that in their politicians too. And
family values, of course.
Yeah, he's settling down. He's been a part of the town for a really long time. Nobody knows the people like Sam does.
So now, and it's so funny. What I find is so eerily similar is now Bill and Sam are just, they seem even alike. I noticed even Sam's speech pattern. It's different.
It was different when he was speaking.
He was
as
more
a politician.
Southern.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the great thing about Sam Trammell. He has these little nuances he puts in his character. He did it last season when he was Luna. I mean, when he was Luna as him.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, he's just masterful, and he is seriously, as our guests have said before, Janina Gavankar, when she was on here, she said, Sam is literally the biggest ass kicker on the show from season 1, and I still have hope that maybe he and Sookie will end up together. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, so we've been talking about that.
Still throwing it out there. So what did we notice? What did we think of the whole Bon Temps change now with let's say, Letty Mae coming back? Okay, Kristin, what are you feeling?
You know, something's up with that, because I don't think people change that quickly. I don't know what it is. On the other hand, I was kind of glad for Tara, because she's always had mother issues, and her confronting her in the barn and kind of saying, you know, I remember when I was younger, you know, it was my job to feed you, and I would forget to do that. Well, you know, I can make it right. Let me feed you now. It was a little too much, but she always seems very dramatic anyways.
Right.
So it wasn't out of character, but I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't know, Tara. Something didn't feel right. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but something was kind of.
Scott, what do you see?
I was exactly feeling the same way as you 110% because it was the same thing. It was like I wanted it to be true because of all the crap that Tara had to go through, and I wanted it to be, but then I kept thinking, oh, no, too good to be true. Like there is something fishy about her. She's back, and she has her own issues, and it was definitely uncomfortable, and I don't know what it was either, if she was infected and...
Well, let's preface that. Of course, we need to talk about the fact that Sam and Bill's plan is now, because there is Hep V that is spreading throughout throughout the whole world. Yeah. And they are attacking other vampires. So now it's so funny to see the vampires are truly vulnerable, and they need humans. In a weird way, they've almost flipped roles.
Well, and we didn't hear anything about True Blood. If they started remanufacturing that too. So on top of it, you got Hep V, and then you don't have True Blood for these vampires. So they're hungry, they're infected. I mean, of course they're running amok.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I want to know is, with Radioactive, what are we going to see? I know we can't even do predictions. Okay, I'm going to hold off. We got to talk about all the neat things, like Bellfleurs now. Merlotte's is gone.
That makes me really
me too.
sad.
That freaked me out.
You didn't see that coming? Eric,
no,
and then
I know,
was sad
but
with that.
I don't like that though.
I don't either.
Arlene, so is it basically the Bellfleurs, or is it Arlene's? Arlene, of course, is the one who ponied up most of the money, I imagine.
Yeah, with her money. I mean, it made sense because it felt like Sam had to do that as now being the mayor. You know, there's no conflict of interest, and it made sense that she would step up and buy out his shares or whatever it was with the company. But I didn't really like that either.
And quite honestly, she's the only one that goes to work, so maybe he just gave it to her because she shows up.
True, I know. Sookie still.
Her and Terry were the only one that pretty much still went to work. I mean, Terry had all these problems, and he was still in the kitchen half the time.
Right?
We need to save that for predictions to find out if Sookie's actually does she have a job?
I know, because if she still does, I'm like that. I need a job like that.
That is the biggest question. Well, because she's with All Seed. He's a contractor, you know, and he's very protective. You notice that.
And he was over at her place. I mean, maybe he lives with her now.
Yeah, so all these questions.
So many questions.
And I'm wondering if we'll ever see, if you're a fan of the books, if we're going to ever see Quinn. Who Quinn was this hulking figure, but I've heard that supposedly All Seed is the new Quinn from the books, and it's one of Sookie's main loves in the book series. So it's something I would like to see. I think we need more blood because new blood on True Blood. But you know, because right now we're gonna have of course a new triangle with All Seed, Bill, and Sookie. Because I mean I don't know if we glossed over the fact that. Or did we already talk about the vamps having to protect? They needed to feast on the humans, and humans were going to receive protection from the vampires. How did that? I mean, how does that feel to you? Is that going to work for you? Because remember, if they're feeding on all these humans, what are the consequences? Because remember, now there's going to be lust, and we were in Bon Tom's, a conservative, you know, Bible Belt town, and you can have all these people lusting after vampires, dreaming about vampires.
Well, they only dream about them if they drink the vampire's blood, correct?
Actually, yeah, I believe you're right.
So I think that's a good thing. You just might have a problem where, you know, if the vampire wants to drink too much, they're extra hungry. I mean, I think you have problems like that. It's kind of interesting to me that they would pair them up. I mean, everybody needs a vampire, basically. And I think it's more, I mean, they do because they can fight their own kind that way. But on the other hand, vampires, I think, need the humans more.
At this point, they do. I thought it was interesting, too, when they said, you know, when Sam made that whole thing, like what was it, you know, monogamous feeding relationship. And then how everybody seemed to be not pleased by that.
I could see that, though.
I was surprised by that. I don't know. It seemed interesting to me because, like, kind of going back to what you were saying about, you know, the conservative Bible Belt kind of thing, and then them seeming like they were displeased by the having to be monogamous feeding relationship with these vampires.
I just think they're not for vampires.
Yeah.
I mean, as we see
the
complete, you know, the Sarah Newlands of the world, but you still have these conservative church people. They're not, I mean, they're okay with the undead because it's there and it's happening. What are you going to do about it? But I still don't think they want to participate.
They want to participate in it, yeah, because it did seem kind of odd to me that they were.
If I got to choose my vampire, you know, I'd be all right.
We know who you choose. Yeah. No, but also, well, since you did bring this up, I think Bill had a line where he wanted to teach humans understanding. He wants you know, vampires to be accepted, and he says that vampires fear humans as much as humans fear vampires.
Yes, and he also made that comment too about, you know, we're out of the coffin, but we're never been fully out, and I thought that was a really good comment too.
Once again, the social commentary.
Exactly.
So.
And kind of going back to everything. So I guess, yeah, it does make sense to tie it all up and why they were so upset in church.
Okay, so now we basically, we've come to the end. You know, everyone's, I don't know if we've missed anything. I want to finish up, of course, with our possible foe for next season. We get a gaggle of these vamps in this big hulking steroided out, I mean, no, very, very buff vampire, and they're all on Hep V, and you see the pack just kept going to Bellflours. And are they going to feast on everyone there? What's going to happen? Who's going to stop them? There's no more super vamp. There's no Billith. It's one-on-one. However, we do know that the Hep V vamps
are weaker.
Yes. But when you have a whole world infected by them, what does that mean to Bon Toms? Is that the last stronghold of the world? Because it's spreading. Remember, we saw it last week in Honolulu and whatnot. So,
which I thought was interesting. If going back to that, what Honolulu is going to have to do with, if it has anything to do with anything, or was that just sort of a? No,
that was just to show you
that's what I'm saying. Was it but just to to show how far it had gone?
Yes.
Because I still felt like there was some mention of Honolulu earlier in the season, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. But I also felt like did it feel like zombie vamps to you in a little bit? Because that's how it kind of read to me.
A little bit.
They kind of had that feeling.
You know, there was no humanity left in these.
Yeah.
In these guys, they were just hungry, and I think that's where you got the zombie, because zombies, they just want to eat.
Yeah, it's just that's the way they kind of appeared, like lack of any kind of anything else but wanting to eat, and they're just going off and like they're possessed.
The good thing is at least you had a few vampires there, so even though it may be a massacre, it's not going to be as bad as if there weren't, you know. And then you've got Alcide, who's a werewolf, and who knows how many other people. Sam was there, right? And he can turn into turn into a bowl and just knock everybody down.
Yeah, I was going to say, but can Alcide really do anything? Bright Eyes, you know, he growls. I mean, vampires are stronger than werewolves. We know that. You know, so
But if he's attacking a weaker one, he can at least stall them until, because he has more strength than, say, you know, Arlene.
Okay.
So he might be able to stall until somebody like a Bill or Jessica or James was playing, or he was singing, you know, on stage. They can go and help out at least. I know we're thinking we're basically doing predictions, but we're really not. We're thinking about possibilities here. Do you think maybe, since the Wolves got such a bum rap this season, having a weaker storyline, what if the Wolves are the Wolves and they can't get Hep V, can they? So maybe the Wolves could come in next season and, you know, be allies to the healthy vampires. I don't know. I'm just thinking right here aloud. Well, especially those werewolves, because most of them had V at some point, which makes them stronger. And they even, you know, the vampires even said, when you have a werewolf that also has vampire blood, then they are a good adversary. You know, they're on the slightly more equal playing field. So any final thoughts on on this episode before we get into trivia, news, and predictions? Any final thoughts? This is it. We're not going to see each other. This is it. Eric Northman, I can't believe it. As you can tell, we're still in shock. We went on 5 minutes after the episode aired, so we're still digesting everything that happened. And I saw it about, I don't know, 3 hours, 2.5 before you guys saw it. Still. I couldn't concentrate. I do newsroom before this. I apologize to Kelly. I'm like, my favorite character pretty much on television right now passed away. I don't know what to do with my life. You've changed things forever. Darn it, Joker. All right, so Scott, anything before we move on to our trivia winner? No, we can move on. Okay. No, because I'll just keep. He's hurting, so. No, yeah. There's a couple things that I don't want to go back into right now. Okay, so okay. Drink away your pain. I will. F the pain away, like in episode 5. All right, so now we've moved on to our grand prize winner of our True Blood trivia. We've had a wonderful season. We've had so many wonderful answers, but there can only be one winner. That's right. So we've taken all the winners and put them in the lovely hat, and the magic hat.
We are about to draw a name, and you will take home this trusty poster. It's fantastic. It's got the signatures of all our guests, but there can only be one winner.
Kristin, why don't you pick the winner?
Oh, jeez.
As the
Are you sure?
guest host.
The
here.
winner
Pick the
is-
guest host, so that we know the PricewaterhouseCoopers overseeing everything, knowing that we're not tampering.
Okay, Kristin, the winner
Who is the winner of the entire
is
season?
Rupert Sanchez.
Rupert Sanchez, the guy who won last
The
week.
one who just won last week? Wow.
Congrats on double win.
Congratulations,
Wow.
Rupert. Definitely hit us up and we will mail it to you shortly. So with that said, I guess it's time to move on. Do we have any news and gossip?
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, Kristin, Carole, our news never looks so pretty with Kristin.
Oh, thank you. So they had an interview on Entertainment Weekly. It was really good if you get a chance to read it. It was with Michael McMillan, who plays Steve Newland, and kind of talking about the death and how it was actually his idea to say, "I love you, Jason Stackhouse," at the end. He'd brought up in conversation with Brian Buckner. He's like, "Can you put that in the script for me?" Because he wanted to have more scenes with Ryan Kwanten, and he couldn't until the very end. So they added that for him.
He's so method.
I
Or is
love
he?
it. I love that.
And I love that he just talked about how they all give personal send-offs when somebody dies, and that Alexander Skarsgård had a somewhat inappropriate but somewhat hilarious send-off in a gag reel, and there was a little skin involved.
Really? So kind of like what we saw in the episode. So Michael got his own private reel about
Private show, I guess.
that? So that's how it is in their family.
And
Right
then
on.
Wow.
Next for him, if you like him, he'll be on YouTube, Justin Lin's You Offend My Family Network, on a series called John Davis Gets a Sex Robot, and he plays John.
Really? Okay.
All right,
And
good
then
to know.
I don't know if you guys saw this, Alexander Skarsgård.
Heard of him?
Yeah.
Who's that?
According to the Wrap, he is in talks to join Meryl Streep and Jeff Bridges in The Giver, which I'm sure most people read in school at some point. I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of
No,
us.
that's a great cast right there too. Fantastic.
So absolutely. So that's great. Makes more sense. He's moving on to films and whatnot. Well, they're on hiatus till January anyway. But
Yeah, they don't film that long, and he's been doing a bunch of films, but
Yeah.
who? That's what scares me. Who knows?
it's Meryl Streep.
You're like,
so-
no, Meryl.
Come on.
Can't
it's
No.
take him away.
No.
Anything else for us, Kristin?
I think you guys already said, Sam Trammell is joining a show with, or the movie with Haley, plays Hazel's dad in The Fault in Our Stories with Shailene Woodley coming
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah,
Nice.
so we'll get to see him in a film.
And I've got one. This is kind of like a music True Blood little news and gossip. Yes, right. Mr. Justin Timberlake has a little True Blood in him, or does he? Yes, on September 27th, there'll be a new release of his 2020 Experience Part 2. Well, he just released the track list, and track number 2, True Blood. That is the name of the song on the track list. So whether or not it has to deal with the show, we will find out soon enough, but I thought I'd give you guys a little FYI. So that's it for our news and gossip, and of course for our final predictions. This portion of predictions is brought to you by Stephen Lemieux, because he's cool like that. I had to shout you out, Stephen. I've given you grief all season, and we couldn't have done it without you. He's not even in the booth. So, what do we see for season 7?
More deaths, more destruction.
Oh, come on, Scott. Give me something. Give me something good.
Well, no,
Tell
I'm
me something
wondering. I'm wondering now. Now I can go with my death theory, but just move it into season 7 now. Maybe the first episode comes right out with a bunch of deaths of characters. The zombie vamps come in and attack everybody there, and before they can be saved, a couple characters die.
Okay.
I don't know who's going to be
Kristin.
the. Well, we'll get to it, but I want to know who's going to be the big baddie.
I think I don't think Eric is dead. I think Pam's going to be involved some way in that. I think at the very least we're going to see. I mean, we have to see more of that. I want to know that she got there okay and how that happened. But we did. There was an interview Kristen Bauer, Van Straten did, and she started tearing up talking about Alexander Skarsgård. People have been saying maybe that's why he's going to die, but. She's a very sensitive, she even admits she's a very sensitive actress, and she's so close with that whole group that just even thinking about it makes her want to cry. And so I don't know if that's just her personality or if he's actually gone.
I know. I think it might be true. She talked about it. It was on Access Hollywood, and I think it's a done deal. So
No.
okay, but I think here's mine. Alcide's gonna die episode 1.
Oh, you're going with the first episode.
I think Alcide is going to die.
There will be deaths.
Unfortunately.
I don't know if it'll be Alcide.
But there'll be that conflict because Bill wants Sookie. And remember, he wants to protect her. And with Alcide gone, she's going to be, of course, she's going to be just completely turned around. If you think about it, she lost her her love, Alcide. Where does she? And she's going to hate Bill, I'm sure. But it's going to make it that much more interesting to see how Bill wins her back.
I find it hard that they would kill off Alcide and Eric because those are, again, and they're like the hottest guys. Although Kwanten is really hot too, but they're like the two hottest guys on the show.
Well, they need to hire, as you say, more hot guys. There we go. So,
fresh blood.
Casting call. There you go. So, and I also.
All right, I'll do it if I have to.
There you go. Scott
I'll join you if you need an assistant.
All right, and I think the baddie's just going to be. It's not going to be one.
That's what I was wondering. Is it going to be more of a general because of these infected vampires?
I think it's going to be decentralized, so it's going to be coming at them from all angles. No one will be safe.
I think Violet will become a baddie because Jason's going to break up with her at some point. That can't last.
Oh yeah, I already feel she's already a baddie. She's already a baddie. There's something about her too that I don't trust.
Any man that
178 days
orally satisfies his woman 178 days in a row
without any.
Sometimes 2 or 3 times.
Yes, deserves a saint, already.
I'm telling you, he's hanging on. He's hanging on.
But
that's a man on a mission.
Okay. There's something about her.
All right. So, with that said, Kristin, what other shows can we see you on?
You can see me on Newsroom, and in October, you can see me on Walking Dead.
Nice. And where can fans follow you?
On Twitter, Kristin Carole 13.
And Scott, it's been a wonderful season. And first off, Kristin, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. Enjoy the cupcakes and beer.
And Scott,
enjoying the beer.
Where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me on Twitter at sman80. That's SMAN80. And here doing Orange is the New Black. It took me a second to what it was called.
He's done like 3 shows tonight, so he's on fume. So Steven, once again, thank you so much for
thank you.
manning the 1s and 2s like nobody else. Where can they find you, buddy?
You can find me next season watching these guys break down True Blood like champions.
Thank you so much. And of course, a big shout out to all the fans. We couldn't do this show without you. Chat roll. We love you guys. Come back next season.
We miss you already.
Season 7. If you want to follow me, go to JC Rubio TV on Instagram and Twitter. So for Kristin, Scott, Steven, I'm JC. We're your True Blood After Show. We'll see you next year.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.